afternoon, everyone. My name is Paul, and I am a nerd, and you are here for the August 2015 PracticeMaster Virtual User Group meeting. And you are lucky enough to be here on Throwback Monday. Why is it Throwback Monday? Well, it's Throwback Monday because Mary Jo and I have traveled in a time capsule to 4 or 5 years ago when we used to do these in a room all by ourselves with nobody to moderate and nobody to help us manage the webinars. Leanne has got a personal day today. We got Patty to fill in as moderator. This morning she texted me and said that she is sick. So me and Mary Jo are our own moderators. And of course, you know that when I refer to Leanne, I call her our humble moderator. I'm afraid I'm going to have to, in the interest of full disclosure, call myself the not-so-humble moderator, but we will still call Mary Jo the humble moderator. So today we are talking about customizing the main menu. Mary Jo is going to take that topic. And filtering the calendar, I'm going to take that topic. I want to mention first that we have version 18 coming out. And if you'd like to be the first person on your block to get version 18 through what they call their pre-release program, stay tuned, because at the end we're going to talk about exactly what to do to get signed up to be a pre-release candidate for version 18. But before that, we have a couple bit of housekeeping details to take care of. This is your GoToWebinar control panel. If you're still looking at this, it's because you have not pressed this button that looks like an arrow pointing to the right, because had you pressed the arrow pointing to the right button, this whole thing would have flown off the right-hand side of your screen and disappeared. When that happens, this button turns into an arrow pointing to the left, because that's how you get it back. Why would you want to get it back? Well, because you have a question and you're shy. If you're shy and you have a question, you type it right here and hit the send button, and somebody will recognize that you have a question, and they will interrupt whoever is talking at the opportune time and ask your question on your behalf. Either myself or Mary Jo will serve as the moderator at the time that the other one is talking, and we will interrupt and get your question answered. Now, keep typing your follow-up questions here. Keep remembering to hit the send button if we get off track. If you have a follow-up question, if you want to get us, interject something or steer us in the right direction, just keep typing questions. Keep remembering to hit send, and we'll keep trying to answer those questions. If you're not feeling shy, press this button here that looks like a hand with an arrow pointing upwards in front of it. That means raise my hand. And when you raise your hand, we know about it, and we will do the same thing. We'll interrupt the other person at the opportune time, but instead of asking the question on your behalf, we will simply unmute your microphone and you can ask your own question. That line of communication will remain open until we're done answering your question. So do not hesitate to jump in and keep us on track, ask a follow-up question, steer the conversation in the way that you want it to go to get your question answered. So, without further ado, I am going to press the magic button, all 17 of them, and get back here to where Mary Jo has PracticeMaster. And you know what, Mary Jo, we didn't open PracticeMaster, so I'm just going to very quickly, while Mary Jo starts talking about what she's going to talk about, I'm going to go in here and press those magic buttons and get us there. Mary Jo?
Okay, so I'm going to really show you how you can change your main home page in PracticeMaster. So what you're displaying on the screen here, how you can change that. And there's a variety of reasons that you might want to change that. The number one reason is you want to lock down what people can click on, and you don't want all of these little icons showing up on this little tab. So we've got right now our client, matter manager, contact, all of these things. Maybe this user only has rights to get into the client, or they only have rights to get into contacts, or whatever that is. We can take off all of the icons that they don't need and just leave the ones that they do. Or maybe we want to just change this from the daily calendar view to the monthly calendar view. We always use the monthly calendar view. So there's a lot of reasons that you might want to change this. And the other thing is these icons that are on this main screen here correspond directly to what's on your toolbar and accessible all the time. I don't always want to have to go back and click on my task folders to go get into Matter Manager. I can just go straight up here and get into Matter Manager. And it's the second icon here, it's the second icon up here. These directly correlate with what's on this toolbar up on the top. So if we want to change that order of this toolbar, we can do that by moving these icons around. Maybe we want timer to be second, and we want, email off. We don't ever email from here. We don't want that. We don't ever do Word document assembly. We want to replace it with something that we do use. So that's the thing that you can do in PracticeMaster and in tabs, actually, on this main screen. You can customize it down here. So let's use my example of the daily calendar. We want to change this to a monthly calendar view. So I'm just going to hit my Customize, click on the icon I want to change, and when I get here, I have all my different calendars. I'm just going to change it to the monthly calendar. Say OK. It changes to that monthly view. When I click my Run button again and say, yes, I want to save those changes, did you see that? It changed it up here on my toolbar as well. So now when I click on this, I have my monthly view instead of my daily view. If I want to take an icon off, let's say I never do document search or I never do email. Let's take the email off. Not too many people email from right here. They would do it from the client or they would do it from Outlook. So I'm going to click on the email. And if I don't want anything there, I can scroll all the way to the top and say Not Assigned. Choose this to remove the button. So I'm going to just click on that and say OK. And now that one is not assigned. If I click Run again, and yes, to save, it's blank. And now all my little icons shifted over because there's nothing in that one now. If I wanted to change it to something else, I don't want this to be email, I want it to be some other thing that isn't even on this screen, I'll click my Customize, and again, I'm going to choose the one I want to change. But look at all of these things that you can replace and put on here. If you do eNotes all the time and you want a little eNote shortcut and you want that to, now eNotes is already up on your toolbar, remember that, so you don't necessarily need eNotes down here, but just as an example, it's not one that's already on the screen. Process timer records, some of those things that you might do all the time that you want a shortcut to. Now this isn't it. If I keep scrolling down, I was just in the file things that you can do. Then there's all kinds of calendar functions that you can do. Maybe you want to move your task list out here so that you can see your monthly calendar and your task list separate. I could click on my task list and I could bring that out here. If I scroll down a little further, I've got document functions. Any of my verify documents, World Doc search, any kinds of things like that I can put out here. Then I move into reports. So maybe there's some certain reports. Maybe I want my daily report out here because I use it all the time and I don't want to have to click on calendar to go get it. I want my daily report out front. I could change that to the daily report and put it out here. Again, that will show up on the top of my toolbar as well. So all of these different things. I can even move down a little further. I get into some of my maintenance things. So if you're an administrator and you have to do something all the time, maybe you're in renaming contacts and you want to just get a little shortcut out here so you don't have to go out and go maintenance, renumber, any of those things, renumbering clients, renaming. And then again, I get down into my utilities. If I'm the one that's always doing the data file and integrity check and I want to have that out here because I do that all the time, all of these things are options that you can change and put out here, or you can make them blank. So you can completely change your toolbar up here and you can completely change what you're viewing on this screen. Now I changed it to daily report. The one thing you want to remember is don't leave it on customize because if I click on it, I'm just going to go right back into this list. If that happens, that means you forgot to click the little run button, save your changes to your window, and then now if I click on it, I go right into my daily report. That is how you change your task folder screens. Now I'm on the main screen right now. The main screen, like I said, corresponds to this toolbar, but if I go out to some of the other windows, you may be able to change that too. Reports is one. Reports, I can add different reports from my report writer out here and add those. There's different choices here that I have available. And again, these do not correspond to anything on the menu up here on my toolbar, but you can change what the icons are. So anywhere on a screen that you see the run and the customize, you can change. And I believe in PracticeMaster it's just on the main and the reports. Tabs, there's some other places that you can change it, but in PracticeMaster, main and reports. So, Paul?
Okay, awesome. Well, I'm going to get up here and move into this office while Mary Jo moves out here. Should we tell a lawyer joke while we're doing this, Mary Jo? She complains because if I'm in the same room as her, I talk too loud. she gets distracted and can't handle all the questions that are flowing in. Now, many of you know that you can filter in a lot of different places in PracticeMaster. We have, for instance, some filters already set up to quick views, or some filters over here in the quick clicks pane when we're in the client screen. So that's an example of filtering, being able to say, well, here's all the clients, but if I just want to look at Ron's matters or Pam's clients, I can click this, or I can click the filter over here, and I'm filtering. I'm only limiting the list to a certain subgroup of matters. But not many people know that you can kind of do the same thing in the calendar. Now, there are a couple ways to do this, and it all hinges around this button here called the filter toggle. It looks like this is a funnel, I guess, but the implication is that you're taking a big group of data and you're narrowing it down to a certain subset. And when you click that, it turns on the filter toggle, where we are currently filtering on the expression of to do. Now, let me explain what this means. This button here simply turns that on or off. When it's turned on, you'll notice that you have these extra fields and buttons here, and you also get this little green thing that says filtered. Now keep in mind, that won't be always green, because when it is thinking about what it should be showing you, instead it says searching or sorting or something like that, and it's red. So when it's green, it means, hey, you're looking at the list now, I'm done thinking about what I want to show you. When it's red, it's really your kind of visual cue to say, oh, it's not done filtering yet. When it is, it'll turn green. So you have these two things to show you that this is, well, three things to show you that this button is currently in an on state. First off, the button looks a little different. You see how it's kind of outlined there? You have the green filter to show that you're in a filtered state, and you have these extra fields. When we turn it off, the button no longer is outlined like it was. You don't have the word filtered over here, and you don't have those things. So when you're in a filtered state, there's a couple different ways you can filter. The most common is to filter by client ID. So if we filter by client ID, then this box becomes a place where you would type a client ID, or type a client name, or hit the drop down to choose one. So if we say we want to look at Mega Construction, I am now looking at Mega Construction's calendar, which appears to be a little bit blank. I'm going to take my filter off and put it instead to Michael Larson. And Michael Larson does have an item in that view. And if I change this view to be, let's say, weekly and maybe 6 weeks, that filter is still applied. The filter is a toggle button. It's like the light switch in your dining room. It's either on or off. And the only way it goes from an on state to an off state is if somebody switches it that way. It doesn't matter if everybody leaves the room, the lights are still on. It doesn't matter here about how you change the view. If you had a filter on, that filter is still on until you turn it off. Now, let's go back to an unfiltered state real quick and see who these things are for. Are these assigned to clients? See, these aren't even assigned to clients. So if I get out of here, let's try, here's a Gilbert Andrew, there's a couple Williams John. Let's try filtering for Gilbert Andrew. So I'm going to turn on the filter, make sure it says client ID, and I'm going to select Gilbert Andrew. Now keep in mind, when it's looking for a client number, and there are all the things that are going on right now for that particular client. And you can tell which client by looking here and noticing that it's filtered by client ID. When you're putting a client number in, you can do any of the things you can do. You can type Gilbert. I may be lying. Okay, I'm lying. You can't type Gilbert. You can only type a number, or you can drop down and then you could type, for instance, Gilbert by going into the search box to find Gilbert, or sorting by client name and typing Gilbert. At this point, you're at a point where you can do any of the things you could normally do in a list view of clients to find Gilbert, and then it will put that number in there. Now, the other thing that you can do in here, other than filtering by client ID, is filter by expression. And that gets a little bit nerdier. You have to understand how to manage filters. And so I have a couple of filters that have been built on the calendar and they show up here. But let's say, for instance, I'm going to turn filter off for just a second, and I'm going to find a certain calendar code that's being used. Let's see, is this this is OUTCW, outside conference with. Okay, so I'm going to filter on calendar code. I'm going to very quickly build a filter to show me all the items that are OTCFW, I think is what it was. I guess I should probably remember that. OutCW. Okay, so I can build a filter very quickly just by going into Manage Filters, adding a new one. I'm going to right-click on Filter, and keep in mind this is a whole separate topic, building a filter, and I'm going to say OutCW. That's the name of the filter, and I'm going to say I want the calendar code to be equal to OutCW. See how it pops up to help me? And I have just created one called OutCW. And now when I look at my drop-down here, I also have OutCW as a code. Bam. I'm looking at all the transactions that have that particular code. Now keep in mind, Manage Filters, it could look for all of the client 100 without regard to what's next to the right of the dot. So you could build a filter to look at just client 100, but not at a specific matter. You could build a filter to show you everything that is either this, or this calendar code. You could build a filter to show you everything that's being done in a certain court, location of the calendar item. That part of it is a separate topic. We're talking about how to filter in the calendar. Actually building the filter is something that we might cover at a different user group meeting, or might have covered in a different venue, in a different video venue. Now there's one more aspect to this. There is the ability to be in a client screen. So let's say we're looking at this Andrew Gilbert, and over here on the right under Quick Clicks, let me move this go to webinar control thing out of the way, there is something called Client Calendar. It's under Take Action, Client Calendar. And by the way, this Quick Clicks pane is something we're going to cover in next month's virtual user group meeting. Spoiler alert. I can click that, and it has the same effect of what we just did, which was to apply a filter by client ID for Andrew Gilbert. So I don't even have to have filter on. I don't even have to have the calendar open. I can just be sitting here looking at a client and decide, hey, I want the client calendar for that matter, and it will go and show me. And just so you know, Quick Clicks are also available by simply right-clicking. So if I right-click and choose Take Action, one of my options is going to be Client Calendar, and there we have it. So that is filtering in the calendar. As I said, many people understand filtering, at least as far as running them. Some people know how to actually write them, like we just wrote a quick one for that specific calendar code. But not many people know that you can do it here. They're used to seeing it in a list. I want to see a list of only certain people's calendar items in the calendar list, not the fancy display like we have here. Or I want to see certain types of journal records, or I want to see certain types of people in the people file, or I want to see certain types of clients in the client file, only Pam's clients, only Ron's clients. People have seen filters before, but not many people knew that this little button right here would turn them on and off in the calendar. Now, next month we're going to talk about it's 2 months from now that we're doing Quick Clicks. Ooh, real spoiler alert. Because next month we're talking about, next month is our A to Z PracticeMaster virtual user group meeting. It's calendar codes, A to Z. Mary Jo is going to take that topic. She's going to talk all about calendar codes, how to set them up, how to use color in them, how to set up certain properties. And I'm going to talk about doc types, which is another type of code for classifying your documents if you happen to be using PracticeMaster for document management. So it's going to be calendar codes A to Z, and I'm going to do doc types A to Z. Now, I promised you before that I would tell you how to get on the pre-release list for version 18, and so here we go. If you go to tabs3.com/pre-release, and if you're like me and you want to put a hyphen in there, don't. tabs3.com/pre-release. You will be redirected to a form that gives you a brief description of some of the things that are in there, like improved fee and cost entry in PracticeMaster, and automatic trust payments, and import bank transactions, and date-based reports. These are some of the many features that are in version 18. And then as you scroll down, you'll have a place to put all the pertinent details, and this basically gets you on the list to be considered for pre-release. There's only a few things that would disqualify you from being in pre-release. You do have to be on maintenance. That will not renew, or it has to be paid up through the release date. You cannot be using the credit card feature in tabs because of some things that are changing in credit card processing. That is changing, and it hasn't been fully finalized in the pre-release product yet. So be sure to go there, sign up, and get to be the first person on your block, or maybe even in your city, to have version 18 of Tabs 3 and PracticeMaster. If you want to go to see more of our videos or learn more about the products, you can go to Attorney Computer Systems, emphasis on the S at the end of systems, attorneycomputersystems.com. And if you click on videos, you will see information on all our videos, along with a drop-down, with all 3 virtual user group meetings. You happen to be in this one right here, plus our Coffee Pot webinars, which is a live event that I do every month, our eBytes video series, which we record 3 of these every month. Mary Jo does one on tabs, one on PracticeMaster, and one on WorldDocs every month, and our Paul and Mary Jo show, which is our longer format, where either I or Mary Jo will take a broader topic and spend a bit more time on it. If you go to PracticeMaster Virtual User Group Meetings, normally you would see registration information for the next one, but since Patty is not feeling well today, she won't be updating this part of our website until tomorrow. And then as you scroll down, you'll see recorded versions of all the prior virtual user group meetings in whatever category you happen to be in, or whatever video you happen to be looking at. So we've recorded some of these titles, some of these groups of videos for years and years. I think the PracticeMaster and Tabs go back as far as 4 or 5 years. Hence the Throwback Tuesday with me and Mary Jo doing all of this on our own today, even though it's Monday. So that's it. Everybody have a good rest of the afternoon. Good month, and we will see you next month at the PracticeMaster Virtual User Group Meeting. Thanks much. Bye-bye.